So let me go live on Instagram. Oh, this thing keeps falling. Simply Vic, hi. Hello. Plutomic Toba, hi. Thank you for joining in. I'm Musa 2010, thank you for joining in. Spoon Surveillance, thank you for joining in. Thank you all for joining in. And welcome to Life's Journey. My name is Benedicta and I'm your host on this show. So if you haven't watched our previous episodes, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/tastebudzng. And the series is Life's Journey. Bold_mind, good evening. Thank you for joining in. And on today's topic, we are going to be discussing how to run away from a bad marriage/relationship. A marriage is a relationship. If you are engaged, it is a relationship. If you're in a serious, or I'll say a long-term relationship, that is a relationship. So you fill in the blanks. You know at what stage you are in life. You know what type of relationship you are currently in or you hope to be in. So today we're going to be discussing how to run away from a bad relationship. So it is not limited to only those that are married. It is not limited to married people alone. It is not limited to people that are engaged. It is not limited to people that are in a long-term relationship, but it is for everyone that has been in a relationship, that is currently in a relationship and hopes to be in a relationship. How do we run away from a bad marriage/relationship? So first of all, I'm going to welcome everyone again to today's show. It is Life's Journey, and if this is your first time joining us, what this series is all about is us telling our stories, listening to each other tell their stories, and helping each other on our journey through life. We are all here to learn from one another. We're all here to help each other on our journey through life. Life, it's interesting. It can be difficult. It can be exciting sometimes. It can be fulfilling when you're living your dreams. But when you aren't living your dreams and you're going through a rough patch, you need someone to help you up. You need someone you can talk to. And that is what this show is all about. We're here to tell our stories in such a way that people are encouraged, people are uplifted, people understand that they are not walking alone. So on today's show, I'm also going to be telling you some of my experiences I had in a toxic relationship. This particular topic is very dear to me because I have been in a toxic relationship before. I know what it feels like. And so when I get those DMs from people, when I get those WhatsApp messages and I get emails from women reaching out, DJ Moonlight, I see you. Thank you for joining in. So when I see women, especially women, when I see women struggling in a toxic relationship, I see them struggling to come out of it. I see them struggling effortlessly to remain in the toxic relationship and make it work. I feel their pain. I understand what they're going through because I was there. I was once in their shoes. Men struggle too. And that's why I said, especially women, because I understand that men struggle too. I have seen a lot of men go through emotional struggles. I've seen a lot of men go through toxic relationship. And that is why I said, if you're married, if you're single, if you intend to get into a relationship, I want you to listen carefully, because we're going to be discussing the signs to inform you that you are in a toxic relationship. So listen and learn the signs, so that when you, or if you ever, though I don't pray for you to, if you ever find yourself in a toxic relationship, you would understand what it is that you're in and how to pull yourself out of it. So men go through toxic relationships as well as women, but I have so much empathy for women when they go through this, because I have been there. I know what it felt like. I knew how many years I lied to myself that this wasn't a toxic relationship. I can make this work no matter how bad the situation is. I was in self-denial for a very long time. And it took me so long to come out of it. I kept going round in circles. One day I'll make up my mind to come out of it, and then I find myself sucked back into it. So it is a very difficult situation. You go through the phase of self-denial. You do not want to admit to yourself that you are in a bad relationship. And then you go through to the phase where you now realize and accept the fact that you're in a bad relationship, or you're in a toxic relationship, and you now want to come out of it. And then you go through the phase of wanting to come out of it, and you are unable to come out of it. You come out of it, you go back into it. You come out of it a second time, and you get sucked back into it. So first, we're going to understand what a toxic relationship is, what a bad relationship is, what a bad marriage is. A toxic relationship is a relationship where you are unable to be yourself. You are unable to live out your dreams. You're unable to be the best version of yourself. You're unable to exude self-esteem and self-confidence. You begin to disregard your moral values, or the values you hold high in esteem as a person. Those things you consider to be your value system, you start shying away from them, or try not to live up to them, because you're afraid that it might hurt your relationship, or it might end relationship. When you're in a relationship with someone and you're walking around on eggshells, you're afraid of expressing yourself, then you will realize that this might be a toxic relationship. This relationship is not healthy for me. Some women will come to my DM and ask me, oh, Tastebudz, what do you think? Should I leave my marriage? Should I end my marriage? Should I end my relationship? It is not my position to tell you to end your marriage or not to end your marriage. I'm only going to give you guidelines and ask you some certain questions that I want you to go back home and ponder on those questions. And if you put them on a scale and you find that you have more of the negative answers than the positive answers, then it is left for you to decide if that relationship is toxic for you and you have to end it. You can't meet me and say, Tastebudz, what do you think? Do you think my relationship is toxic? I wouldn't know, because I don't know what your values in life are. I don't know what your aspirations for yourselves are. I don't know the things that you like to do. Because if you're in a relationship and you're walking on eggshells, you're unable to be yourself. You're unable to express yourself. For example, if you know you like going to parties and your partner doesn't like going to parties, he prevents you from going to those parties and he wouldn't join you in going for those parties, and you know you're a party person and that is what you like, or that is how you like to live your life, then maybe you are in the wrong relationship, because you have to be in a relationship where you are compatible with each other. If you aspire to be a politician, or you aspire to be the first governor of your state, or you aspire to be educated as far as owning a doctorate degree, and your partner is not in support of that, he doesn't want you to get educated, he doesn't want you to be self-sufficient or self-reliant, then that particular relationship is toxic for you. So it has to do with your value system as a person. If you're in a relationship where you are a highly sexed person and you want to have sex 5-10 times in a day, every single day, and your partner doesn't want that, then you are in a wrong relationship. So you have to itemize all the values you hold dear to yourself and figure out if your partner understands this and is willing to work with you. Remember that in relationship, you should learn to compromise. So if he's not listening to you, if your partner is not listening to you and he keeps doing things to hurt you, he keeps doing those things you have told him or her over the years that offends you, that means your partner isn't listening to you. He doesn't want to do things to make you happy. Your partner is constantly doing things to hurt your feelings. Then that relationship is toxic for you. Some of the signs to look out for in a toxic relationship is when somebody is extremely manipulative. They will go to any length to make you do things their own way and not considering your feelings. That relationship is toxic. Because in a relationship, people or partners should learn to listen to each other and should learn to compromise. So watch out for signs of manipulation. If you're in a relationship and your partner is extremely manipulative, he's extremely controlling or she's extremely controlling, and he or she wants everything to be done in their own time and in their way, that relationship is toxic. You should be able to be yourself in a relationship, in a healthy relationship. You should be able to express yourself. You should be able to build your self-esteem and your self-worth. If you're unable to develop your self-esteem in a relationship and express yourself freely in the presence of the other person, then you should know that you are in an unhealthy relationship. You are in a toxic relationship. And if you find yourself in a relationship that is physically abusive, your partner hits you, your partner mentally oppresses you in the form of looking down at you and talking down at you. It's not every form of abuse that is physical. Some form of abuse are mental and emotional. In my previous relationship, I had a very abusive relationship. It was mentally abusive, it was physically abusive, it was emotionally abusive. When I say mentally, abusive, emotionally abusive. When you're in a relationship where your partner tells you, oh, you've just had a baby, you have stretch marks on your tummy, oh, what can you do about those stretch marks? You've gained so much weight. And he or she wouldn't touch you. He or she wouldn't want to have any form of sexual relationship with you for as long as 2 years. You find yourself constantly begging for emotional affection. That is emotional trauma. So if you find yourself in a relationship as that, you find yourself, you're always the one trying to compromise, you're always the one trying to make excuses for the relationship to work, you constantly seeking validation, constantly seeking for emotional attachment or emotional affiliation, emotional relationship. You want to be intimate, you seek for intimacy, you're constantly seeking for intimacy. It's like you're chasing after the other person. Then you are being emotionally abused. You shouldn't be in such a relationship where your partner makes you feel unworthy of their affection. Then you're being emotionally abused. You have to find the strength to pull yourself out of that relationship. It is toxic. It is toxic. And when you find yourself constantly asking your partner to do some certain things that you like, or to do some certain things in a way that you like, and you find that they're not just listening to your complaints, they do not want to change, they're not interested in changing for the sake of the relationship, you are always the one doing things, ensuring that this relationship stays on and moves on to another stage, then you are in a toxic relationship. So there is no one that can answer that question for you. Oh, am I in a toxic relationship? Tastebuds, am I in a toxic relationship? Is my marriage really bad? Should I end it? It is not my place to answer that question. I get this question so many times. And if you are in my shoes and you have friends and relatives coming to ask you this question, you have to set out these parameters for them and tell them to do their own homework. They have to ask themselves this question: are they the ones constantly compromising? Are they the ones always trying to work on themselves to make the relationship work? Are they constantly being emotionally abused, physically abused, mentally abused? If the answers to these questions are in the affirmative, then their relationship is toxic. Then they should realize that they are doing themselves a disservice and not a service. It is your responsibility to realize that you owe yourself love. You ought to do things that will be beneficial to your mental health, to your entire well-being. It is your responsibility. There is no one that can do that for you. You owe it to yourself. So ask yourself these questions. And if the answers are more on the affirmative, then you need to come out of that self-deceit. Own up to the reality of your situation, that you are in a toxic relationship, and put an end to it. You are talking directly at me, Blessing Vincent. Yes, I'm not surprised. I do have tons of these questions. Since my interview with Linda Ikeji, where I shared some of the things I went through, I always have women come to ask me questions if they're in a toxic relationship, if they should end their marriage. I always tell them I cannot answer that. It is not my place to answer that. It is left for you to analyze your situation, ask yourself these questions, and if the answers are more on the affirmative, then you are in a bad place. You aren't doing yourself any service. You are rather doing yourself a disservice, and you should put an end to that relationship. Most of us have gone through a bad relationship. Most of us have gone through a toxic relationship either once or twice or so many times. And some of us have been fortunate who've never been through a toxic relationship. So it is left for you to read the signs on time. Read the signs timely and decide what you want to do. You might want to work on it. You might think that by working on yourself and by talking to your partner to work on himself or herself, the situation can be salvaged. Sometimes it could be redeemed if both parties are willing to work on their differences. It could be salvaged. But if you find yourself alone, constantly working to save this relationship, and your partner isn't working, your partner isn't contributing in making it work, it's time for you to pull out of that relationship. You can't do the work for yourself and your partner. You can only work on it from your own aspect, and your partner has to work on his own side of the deal. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. That was what I understood or I learned from my previous experience. I kept constantly believing that, oh, this relationship is going to work if I can lose more weight. I worked out so hard. I started having knee problems and waist problems as a result of excessive workout. Each time I had a baby, I would lose weight from size 16. I'll go all the way back to a UK 12. If you should see some of my pictures, I was almost anorexic. I was really skinny. I used to work out so much because I felt that the more I worked out or the skinnier I got, the more I would be appreciated by my partner, but that didn't work. I spent tons of money. I would shop in La Senza. I would shop in Victoria's Secret. I would spend tons of money in sexy lingerie, hoping that I would be able to ignite some sort of intimacy in my relationship. But I just found out over the years that I was just putting in the work. I was the one doing all the work, trying to see how this could work, but it wasn't working. So sometimes when you're in a relationship, in a toxic relationship, you begin to notice that your partner might be a big time manipulator. Your partner might be an emotional manipulator. He might just know what to say and what to do to put you on a leash. So that way, you're having a horrible time, you're miserable, but at the same time, you find it difficult to break out of that relationship. So each time you tell your partner, I'm leaving you, I'm putting an end to this relationship, you find yourself going right back into the relationship. Each time you say it is over, I am so done, I'm not going on with this relationship, it's over, because you begin to feel used, because you are putting in all the work. Your partner is just sitting down and looking at you, of course, maybe not even taking attention or noticing your efforts, because they are so self-centered. People that make a toxic relationship, or if you notice you're in a toxic relationship, you find out that your partner is usually very selfish. They're usually very self-centered. They are very big time manipulators. They play on your emotional intelligence. They are users. When I say they are manipulators, they are users. They are control freaks. They have so many rules and regulations that you just have to go through with. The moment you stop going through with those rules and regulations, you find that your relationship is over. So if you see the signs in a relationship, understand that you are in a toxic relationship and you are going to be the only person putting in all the work. You are constantly going to be feeding this toxic relationship by killing yourself. Each time you try to feed this toxic relationship, you're going to kill one aspect of yourself. You feed it, you're going to kill another aspect of yourself. And one thing you should know about toxic relationship is that they grow really fast. So fast, and you end up not having control over it. It now controls you. You find yourself constantly feeding this toxic relationship. Okay, he says I can't wear high-heeled shoes. He doesn't like high-heeled shoes. Okay, I'm going to stop wearing high-heeled shoes to make my relationship work. High-heeled shoes, check. No longer wearing. He says he doesn't like short hair. He likes only long hair. I'm going to stop wearing short hair because he likes just long hair. Check. I stopped wearing short hair. He says he likes me really skinny. He doesn't like me big. I'm going to stop eating all the good food I like. I'm going to start going to the gym and working double. Check. You start going to the gym, working so hard. He says he doesn't like me hanging out with my friends. I'm going to stop seeing all my friends. Check. He says he doesn't like me answering my calls after 7 p.m. So you just find yourself on a roll. You are constantly feeding this toxic relationship. You are constantly feeding this toxic relationship. And your partner on the other end is constantly dishing out rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. You don't need anyone to tell you you're in a toxic relationship. You owe it to yourself to realize that this is a trend. And as long as you continue feeding this toxic relationship, it will continue to grow. And a part of yourself will begin to die. And before you know it, your self-esteem is so low that you no longer believe in yourself. Another sign, major sign in a toxic relationship is this. They make you feel so uncertain about decisions that you make that sometimes you begin to question your sanity. You make a decision, you begin to wonder if this decision is right. Oh, was I thinking right when I made this decision? Oh, maybe this decision isn't a good decision after all. You begin to question your value system. You begin to question your ability as a human being because your self-worth has been diminished to the lowest level, that you no longer believe in yourself. You no longer believe in your ability to do anything for yourself. So these are some of the signs for you to look out for if you are in a relationship that you suspect is toxic. It's like a questionnaire. Get out a paper and pen, start taking down these questions and ask yourself, are the answers going to be a yes or a no? The decision is yours to make, not your mother's, not your best friend, not your sister, not your pastor, nothing. Also know that toxic relationship doesn't just end with emotional relationships. Sometimes they're spiritual, like the relationship you have with your spiritual mentors, be it pastors, bishops, whoever it is you look as your spiritual leader. You also have to ask yourself if you are in a toxic relationship. If the relationship is just one-sided, they're after what they're going to get from you and not after your spiritual growth as a person, you need to start cutting those ties. Free yourself of any form of toxicity, be it in a form of spiritual relationships, emotional relationships. You owe it to yourself. free yourself from them? Now, I'm going to be discussing a major aspect of this topic. You have gotten to a position where you now understand, you've now accepted that you are in a toxic relationship. How do you free yourself from it? How do you run away from it? Because trust me, you have to run. When you have come to the point where you have accepted that you're in a toxic relationship, Aisha Collections on the page. When you have come to the point where you have accepted the fact that you're in a toxic relationship and you need to put an end to it, it is so difficult. Because sometimes your partner that is a guru manipulator knows how to love bomb you. They make you feel so good with yourself. You have very high highs and very low lows. So sometimes when you think of the very high highs, you now find it difficult to leave such a relationship. It might be the fact that he buys you very expensive gifts, takes you to very fancy restaurants, and he ends up beating you terribly, that you end up in the hospital. But each time you come back from that beating, or you're healed from that beating, he buys you a Louis Vuitton bag, and he takes you on a trip to Paris. And then, a few months down the line, he beats you up really bad. But now you're finding it difficult to detach from that relationship because of the very high highs. You now want to overlook the very low lows, like each time he beats you. You forget that with each beating, you just escape death narrowly. Because it's not every battery that ends up with you going to the hospital and coming back. Some battery, you might actually lose your life. You might actually lose your life with some of this battering. Do you understand? So you have to be please, you need to be careful with this live chat because some women might construe obedience to weakness. There is a fine line, so you need to clarify, define roles within a marriage. Extremely manipulative, going through any length to make you do things that's one way. This is very true. Yes. When you find out that everything in a relationship is going just one way, it's not going both ways. One person always has to consent while the other person is constantly dishing out rules and regulations. Then that's a no-no. That's a sign of an abusive relationship, is a sign of a toxic relationship, and you have to come out of it. So back to what I was saying. When you have realized that the relationship is toxic for you and you want out, you need support systems around you. Who are the support systems that I'm talking about? I am talking about your loved ones. I'm talking about your mother, your siblings, your best friend, your mentors, people you know that have your best interest at heart. Those are the people you should run to and tell them that, listen, I have come to the realization that I am in a very bad place emotionally and I want out. I need your support. I need to cry on your shoulder. Because you know why you need a support system? People that are in a toxic relationship, most of the time, find out that their partners are very manipulative. They are not going to want to let you go. Each time you tell them you want to leave the relationship, they will do everything to get you back into the relationship. For example, in my previous toxic relationship that I had, each time I said, physically said, verbally said, I am leaving. I'm putting an end to this relationship. I don't want this anymore. It is over for me. The next thing I hear is, oh, please don't put an end to the relationship. He will just break down in tears and start crying. Don't put an end to this relationship. Everything you want me to do, I promise you I'm going to do them. And do you know what happens? He begins to do those things that I have been begging him to do. He will do them for a period of a month or 2 months. Win your trust and make you to actually start believing that, you know what? I think I shouldn't end this. I really want this relationship to work. He's beginning, and then he's going to do them just for about a month or two to make you believe that everything is going to be all right, and he's willing to change. And as soon as you let your guard down, boom, they go back into being their old self. So that is emotionally manipulating you. You are speaking facts, but thank you. So each time you try to put an end to the relationship, they manage to suck you back in. So you need to be strong. You need to take it in your stride. Don't rush in coming and putting the relationship to an end. Take it in your stride. Be very calculated. Talk to your support systems. Tell them you need their support because you want to put an end to this relationship. End the relationship in writing. You can end the relationship, stand to say it is over in front of this person. They are going to cry. They're going to emotionally manipulate you. They're going to tell you all the things you want to hear. And you find yourself believing them. Remember, most evil people in relationship, or people that are mean, or people you find that are in toxic relationships, what are their characteristics? They are narcissists, they are control freaks, they are manipulators, they are extremely self-centered. So when you're discussing, you're trying to end a relationship with a manipulator, a guru manipulator, someone that is so good at manipulating your emotions that he will go to any length to win you back. He's going to cry. He's going to give you expensive gifts. He's going to call on everybody he knows or she knows that means something to you to come and beg you to remain in the relationship. They're going to promise you heaven and earth. They are emotionally manipulating you. Trust me. They are not being real. They will do everything you want them to do. And just when you let your guards down and you believe everything is okay, they're going to go back to being who they are. So, ending a bad relationship, Tony Essentials, hi. Ending a toxic relationship is never ever easy. Many people end up ending a toxic relationship several times, and sometimes never ever being able to put an end to it. And you just end up letting yourself go and destroying yourself in the process. I don't want this to happen to you. I've been down that road. And today a lot of people will ask me, oh, if the relationship was so bad, why did you stay so long? Why did you stay so long? We find your story difficult to believe. Now, it is difficult to come out from a very toxic relationship. It takes so much guts, so many years of practice. You have to constantly talk to yourself. You might be reciting what you want to say in front of the mirror. You might write it down in form of a letter. You might just keep mute. Go meet a lawyer, draft your divorce letter, give it to the bailiff, and the bailiff will be the messenger of the wicked or the evil news. Don't be the one. Don't be the bearer of the bad news. Hey, it's over. I'm not doing this with you anymore. No, because if you know the person is such a manipulator that you cannot stand in their presence to tell them it's over, run away. That's why I said run away. Just wake up one morning and you're gone. Physical distance help sometimes to put an end to a toxic relationship. You might have to run, relocate, go to a different place entirely, change your SIM, change your phone line. It can be that drastic. Change everything about you and send a letter ending the relationship. You don't have to. Who says you must do it facing the person? And for manipulative people, they'll tell you, oh, if you must end this relationship, must you end it with this note? Must you end it with a letter? Why can't you face me and tell me it's over? My dear, leave it. It's not written in, what do you call it? It's not scratched in a stone. You mustn't end it physically. If you've tried ending it physically severally and it didn't work, run away. Don't end it physically. Write a letter. Yes, write a letter. Send an email. Get a bailiff from the court to send a divorce letter. But run away from your life. At that point where you have exhausted every known means in making this relationship work, and you have come to the realization that this relationship is toxic, run. Run. Boso. Igbos will say, boso, osiso. Run for your life. There is nowhere it's written in any rule book that you have to end it physically, verbally. Nah, it can be that difficult. End it by just writing a letter. Yes, end it by writing a letter. You can even do a voice note. You know, this is 2020. You can do a voice note and send it to the person and end it, put an end to it, and move on with your life. You are not doing yourself a service by remaining in a toxic relationship, by remaining in a bad marriage. You are rather doing yourself a disservice. So run away from it and be better off. Build your self-esteem. So please, if you're going through a toxic relationship, we are here for you. We'd like to hear your story. Tell us your story. Share your stories with us. There might be one or two people out here that will have something to learn from it. We are all here to listen to each other tell their stories. We're all here to learn from each other, and we're here to support each other. So if you have been in a bad relationship, in a toxic relationship, and you know it, because you are the only one that can answer that question, run away from it. You can also come here and share your story with us. We're all ears, and we're here to encourage each other. So that is it on today's topic. Running away from a bad marriage. Running away from a bad relationship. And we have discussed how to identify a bad or a toxic relationship. And remember, both men and women go through toxic relationships. So, thank you for watching. And before we call it a day, I'll also like to announce that we have 6 slots left. Remember last week we announced that Life's Journey, together with our partners, our supporters, we want to reach out to 10 micro businesses. 10 micro businesses that were destroyed in the wake of the protest in Lagos. You might not be living in Lagos, but you do own a business in Nigeria, and your business was destroyed as a result of the protest. If you fall into the category of micro businesses, please reach us on our WhatsApp line. I'm going to be calling out the WhatsApp number, so you can send us a WhatsApp message or send us a comment. Send us a comment on my Instagram handle, which is Tastebudz at Tastebudzng, or at Life's Journey with Benedicta. So if you drop a comment with at Life's Journey with Benedicta or at Tastebudzng concerning your business, that was destroyed in the wake of the protest. We're going to pick it up from there. A questionnaire will be sent to you, and upon filling that questionnaire, we will send you 50,000 naira if you are qualified, and we are certain that you qualify for this. 50,000 naira will be sent to you. 4 slots have already been given out. 4 people have already benefited from this. 4 micro businesses have already benefited from this. We have 6 more slots left. So if you fall into this category, please send us a message. Great live chat. Thank you, Labella on the Lami Pomi. Thank you, Tastebudz. Thanks a billion. Olga _ Hakuna Matata. Don't worry. So thank you all for joining in, and remember to join us same time next week on youtube.com/Tastebudzng. This is a weekly show. It's a live weekly show on youtube.com/Tastebudzng. And if you happen to miss out on joining us live, you can catch up on all of our previous episodes on our YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/Tastebudzng. Remember, we're here to share our stories. Tell us your story. How far have you come in life? What are those things that have made you to be who you are today? How have you turned your mess into a message? I was once upon a time in my own mess, and I'm trying to turn my mess into a message for someone out there that needs encouragement, someone out there that knows that he or she can become the best version of themselves. Love you all. Take care and see you same time next week. Bye-bye.